This time, Yerushalmi Pesachim. Since we are beginning Mesechus Pesachim, we are on Taf Aleph, Amud Aleph at the beginning, at the top, both in the Art Scroll and in the Vilna. Okay, so we are beginning the Masechta. Orla Basar, on the eve of the 14th day of Nisan, Bokim is a chametz. You check the chametz, or on there by light of a candle. Any place which people don't normally bring chametz, does not have to be checked. What was the area in which they said has to be checked? In a wine cellar, two rows in the cellar, the place where they bring chametz likely bring chametz into the wine cellar when they're getting wine. The Beis Shammai says 2 rows on the entirety of the cellar. So Beis Hillel says the 2 outer rows, which are the upper rows, and the Gemara is going to have to explain that for us. Okay, says the Gemara, you should watch the matzos because on this very day I took out your hosts out of the land of Egypt. But you shown by on the first day of the first month, on the 14th day of the month, in the evening, tochlu matzos v'gomer. What are we referring to in this pasuk? Im l'chilas matzah ba'achilas matzah, which is night of Pesach. Kvar ksiv, it says Shivas Yom Tatzil matzos tochelu. Right, it says that for 7 days you should eat matzos explicitly. So what is this? Barishon ba'abas el chodesh. The 7 days starts on the 15th at night, not on the 14th day. V'im lamar shemaschim me'abasar. If you're going to say, well, he starts on the 14th. He doesn't start on 15th, it starts on the 14th. No, it can't be, because it says 7 days, and it says until the 21st day of the month. And you only get 7 days on the 21st day of the month, by the 21st day of the month, if you start on the 15th. So, what is this Barabasar? Radical drasha, not in the Bavli. If it is not relevant to Achilas Matzah, because Achilas Matzah only starts on the 15th, then in a Bir Chametz, then learn it must be toy about Bir Chametz. And Bir Chametz, the elimination of Chametz, is what begins on the 14th day of Nisan. Okay, it's more asked, Lama on there, why by the night of the light of a candle? I'm sure about Yitzim Nation on there, Bodhi Kosher, because it there checks even minute cracks, nooks and crannies. There's a Gerson light in Kosher. Tiny amounts. Okay, so why do you check the yom has to be mishumar? Why do you have to check the night before? Check on the 13th during the day, because okay, the candle only properly illuminates at night. Ramona says a different shosha, also not in the Bavli. Preserve this day for your generations for eternal law. Now, what do you mean this day? It starts at night. Starts at night at Tezvav, the Isra of Chametz. So the Yom is referring to the day before. And it means Yudal should also be Meshumar. Okay? And he says, Hayom b'layla Meshumar. The way most of the Farshim learn this, it means that the day, Yudal, and the night before it, of Yudal also. And it says Yom, it means the day before in its entirety. So Yom B'layim Mishabarim. So if that's the case, you ask Rabbi Gimel, why don't you start on the 13th? Yeah, Yom B'layim Mishabarim. So the day of the 14th and the night before the eve of the 14th will be the Mishumar. Since you did it on the 13th, now they're calling Mishumar. Obviously, Kamakayin Marveyosi. So he also said that it's the Or HaNer is only Yofa B'layla. But it's interesting. Meichal Amayim, based on this, he says, okay, fine. You can only do it at night. But it sounds like it's really, we prefer if you do it on a Gimel, but we can't do it because it's not practical. So there, but he says once your dollar starts, you should start checking as early as possible. Because since you want the entire Yudal to be Meshumar, and you have to wait till nightfall because you need the ordinary to be off it. But once the nightfall ensues, get cracking as soon as you possibly can. Okay, so it says more Biask earlier Gimel. Fine. if you're so meticulous getting started or promptly start the night before your Gimel. So that way all of your Dal will be encompassed. Because you did it the night before, on the eve of your Gimel. No, it says when in Keni Yivdok Afilu Rosh Chodesh. If that's it's like Ein Davar Sof. That's the case you would want to start from Rosh Chodesh. Now the Yerushalmi Pesachim brings down interesting pairs from the state issue. It says that what it means to say is why don't you check indeed from Rosh Chodesh? Because it's too far. Too premature, and there's a gap, too big a gap that you might actually be coming to now. So that the Gemara says if that's the case, you can check it from Rosh Chodesh, but obviously we don't rely on that because it's too big a gap. You know, for your Gimel, it's too big a gap, even though it's only one day, but still, all of your Gimel you might bring coming to the house, and therefore we may have you check on your specifically on your Daled, the evening of your Daled. It's interesting. It brings down also the Ravon. It says that somebody who checks on your Gimel has to check again on your Dalet. It's in order not to distinguish between different types of biur. In other words, that all biur has to be on your Dalet. So it sounds like because your Gimel is ineffective, even if you did it properly on your Gimel. But the Moshe learns more like we learned a little originally. In Kini Yivdok Afilu Rosh Chodesh B'Tmiya, right? There's the Davar in Tikshin Ami Yatzchil Rosh Chodesh. And lo beinakim shayom Yudav Laila Shalfar Avim Shimorim. So it requires that the day of the 14th, the night before Avim Shimorim. Okay, so Rabbi Yirmiyah Rav Yitzchak asked, "Mal livdok or avukos?" Can you check by the light of a torch? Okay, Matzri Chole. Why is he asking? Mavliach. The Chomei says the Mavliach v'yesh gorsim mavriach. So the light jumps and constantly gets stopped in the middle. So therefore, it's not appropriate. He says based on the normal interchangeability of letters in the Yerushalmi, mavliach can easily be read as mafriach. It's parech, jumps up. Okay, Rosh Yitzchak Kedaite. Rosh Yitzchak is like his line of reasoning, which is known to us. We said koshu. And a torch, since it's light, constantly is jumping all over the place, it can't check as in a sustained way in fine nooks and crannies. Even though we don't have a clear-cut proof that you're supposed to use a candle for the checking, there's a hint to it in the Tanakh, and this is in the Bible. It says, "On that day I will look through Yerushalayim with candles." So he's going to check. They're going to. Navi says we're going to check carefully to see if any Averis in Yerushalayim, and we won't find any. So it seems that the most careful checking is with candles. Someone say that we see how effective that candles are effective at checking because it says Ner Hashem Nishmas Adam Kol Chavei Kol Chavei Batin. The light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the neshama, a person with which he checks all of the inner recesses of his intestines. So the Ner is Chofes. Okay. Rabbi says Masnisa Omra Shabdika Siyom Bdika. The Mishnah teaches us that the Evan, if you check during the day, it's a sufficient bidika. It says you check for heels, you check the 14th by night, Uvar basar b'shachris, and in the 14th day during the day. Uvishasa biur, and at the time of the biur, which is later on in the day. So what goes to do check during the day? So it must be that it is effective during the day. If you have no choice, you can check during the day. And this is not just Rabbi Yehuda holds you're supposed to check it these 3 times, even Rabbanan. The thing learn Chachamim lo badak or yudal yivdok yudal. He says you don't check the 14th of night. You check during the 14th of the day, right? So how can this be? Tzarich livdok mean or ner. I have to check by light of candle. By light of candle. So what about during the day? Do you need a candle? Don't you need a candle? It's a question, right? So so it's really totally on air. Do you have to? Well, two ways to answer the question. One is that, like we said, what about the fact you have to check during the by candle, or it's just a question: do you have to check during the day with a candle as well? This should mean that. So that's what I'm afraid of. That you do check with the candle during the day. The aim bokim, you're not supposed to check lo or not by the light of the sun, lo or not by the night of the moon, lo or not by the light of the stars, el or not by the light of candle. Okay, so in a sense, it's a night. That's telling us that the light of the moon, light of stars is insufficient. El or but what do you mean? No, don't check by the light of the sun. Right? Is it talking about where they're? Is there sun at night? What does it mean? No, not by the light of sun. Obviously, you're checking at night. Then there's no sun. So Damra, there's a girsa here. Some Yishayim have tipate b'shlo bodak, but rather he didn't check at night. Even don't have the girsa. Obviously, that's true according to Rabbanan that that's the case. Damra teaches us that afilu bayom, even during the day, when you have the orachama, it's not sufficient. You have to use a candle as well. And it's not just in a house which doesn't have light. In other words, a house which is dark, that by daytime you have to use a candle. Even a house which has light, even but during the day, you have to check by the light of the candle. Okay, so you have to have a candle besides the natural light. Okay, well, what about Mavos HaFeilim? We ask, what are Mavos HaFeilim? They which are the dark alleys. I have this. What is the? What's the Shasmant here? Oh, never mind. Okay, but say Maushi Tzorech LeBodkan B'Tchil Araner. Now here Tzorech most either you change Girsa to Rashai, or even if you don't change the Girsa, it means Rashai. But there's an additional Girsa here. But instead Maushi Tzorech LeBodkan B'Tchil Araner, it's Maushi LeBodkan B'Tchila B'Yom Araner. Now they're dark anyway, so you need a candle, right? It's a dark alley. So do I need to check it at night in order to use a candle? During the day, I also need a candle. So it should be effective even if it's daytime to check by the light of the candle. So Mashi Yitzhak Vodkan, it was appropriate to check them during the daytime. No. The rabbi, the words the rabbi teaches, it's an issue in the candlelight. Candlelight does not illuminate during the day the same way it illuminates at night. So even in Bavos HaFeilim, it's not going to illuminate the same way. The Amar Abhuna, because Abhuna said, Karabina Arkin Bilin Butisa. The Korban says, when we used to go into the tunnels. I should have read the next couple of words. When we went into the tunnels of the Great Base Medrash, Sijaraba's Great Base Medrash, because there were enemies and we had to hide from them. They were like candles in the tunnels, but Shu came when they were dark. When we knew it was daytime. When they would be brilliant, radiant, we knew it was nighttime. So we see that even the light of a candle illuminates more at night than during the day, and therefore, because of the nature of night, because there are no photons in the air, so the light of the candle is more radiant. So therefore, you have to specifically use a candle at nighttime, even in Vos HaFeilim, even though in alleyways which are normally dark. B'sai kaidim Achia bar Zira. Because Rabbi Achia used to say Noach. Because he saw the teva when Noach went to the teva. Ichnisimu avonim tovos margolios. He took with him precious stones and pearls. B'shah sheyu chaos, when they were dark, they would give off light, but they were dark. Hayodeh shu yom. And this is his opinion that the Torah in the teva was not a skylight, but a precious stone. Rashi brings down a chumash. So when these precious stones were dark, Hayodeh shu knew it was daytime. B'shah sheyu avikos. When they would be radiant, Hayodeh shu knew it was nighttime. Lama, why do you need to do this? So because you need to know for the animals who eat by day, they should eat by day. For the nocturnal animals, they should be able to eat at night. So Steve Tzor Tasateva. So it says that you should make a tzar, which according to Yerushalmi clearly means a skylight, not the precious stone. So commanded by Loshim Shua Mazolos B'Shas Hamabu. So there's going according to opinion that the mazolos and were not operative during the time of the Mabul, and therefore, in other words, it means that somehow they couldn't see the sky, and therefore the Torah was not effective and telling them when it was daytime and when it was nighttime. I guess it was probably always dark, but you couldn't see that mazolos, which normally would be able to say in order to determine it's nighttime. Not sure about that. I mean, Moshe wants to say the maskana of the Yerushalmi is, in fact, that the Torah was a precious stone. Because since it's a question and answer as follows. Which we assume is which is the skylight. And therefore the Torah must have been the precious stones. It's interesting that they say that, going back a little bit to that, where they were hiding in the caves, that's one of the Rishonim says that know is day or night. The Meiri says that's when it's man kriyash mashal shachris, kriyash mashal ma'arvis. That's important to know. Anyway, there's and some of the Farshim say that the reason why they fled to the caves was because the tax collectors comes to town, and they had to hide from the wicked tax collectors. But in any event, so that I think we're already up to Beis Amud Aleph, and got some moving on to Beis Amud Aleph, so we will stop here for today.